maybe counterpick a couple of times. So here's Hyped straight away, leading with Druid again. And I would guess that with his Shaman pick, that Numberguy's trying to be a little bit careful, but I think part of what influenced his decision to lead with Shaman is the fact that Hyped has been leading with Druid so much. So if he's leading with Shaman here, I would imagine he thinks it's a pretty comfortable matchup for him.
It makes sense too, granted that traditionally Shaman can give Druid a hard time on the board. We saw a great start in the previous series, right? Was it Lothar or was it Lothar or was it Hit Girl that had a really good Shaman start, and yet we saw Hype be able to fight back from it? I want to see it was Hit Girl.
Yeah, it was Hit Girl. Hit Girl had a pretty dominant board position, and Hype able to put back. He drew 3 consecutive cards that were really pressing his board advantage, and then finished off with his third draw on Savage Roar with a Force Nature in his hand, and had just enough damage to kind of kill his opponent after that. Which is, that's the way Druid works. It has a very high draw density later in the game. If you can kind of get to any stabilized point, the expectation for Druid is that your draws will be more powerful on average than your opponent's draws, and that's how you actually try to win the game.
Fair enough. The Zombie Chow gets immediately answered by Rockbiter, so I guess that's one less bursty card, but you have to take out that Zombie Chow. It challenges too much of your board. And look at this. 2 turns of Hyped not being able to do anything whatsoever. This gives a very comfortable spot for Numberguy, because now he doesn't have to worry about like this. If this Unbound Elemental gets answered by Swipe, at least you're able to build something else. And now other cards like Defender or Azure Drake can come down safer.
Yeah, his draw is less than stellar at the moment. His first play is on turn 4 outside the Zombie Chow.
So from here, I think, assuming my screen's not frozen, Numberguy pretty much has a very clear play of just dropping Thanos.
Yeah,
or even toteming up. Like, there's not really much to do other than that.
I really like dropping Thanos here, because your opponent's kind of indicated that he doesn't have like a 3-drop to you, and if he doesn't have a 3-drop or a 2-drop, it's very likely he has a 4-drop. So he's forced with the decision of whether or not he wants to hero power or whether or not he wants to actually play a 4-power minion. So he gets pretty lucky and makes a spell power totem. So this is going to allow him to actually just drop Thanos and answer this straight away, and it's going to put his opponent in a very similar position where, do I kill this Blood Mage Thanos, or do I continue to develop the board? And I can tell you that Hyped is almost certainly going to be developing the board, but this Unbound Elemental quickly going to be getting a little bit out of control. And take a look at Numberguy's hand. This is one of the reasons he kept Hex in his opening hand, is he's looking to develop a board position. If the Druid stumbles a little bit, the Hex can really run away with the game.
Well, Hyped has Spectral Knight, and he also has Lotheb. Both those cards do have its merit, because the Lotheb shuts down an opportunity to use that Hex, like you said, and be able to push through. But then the Spectral Knight is also resilient to Hex. He has to use Flame Tongue totems, etc. to push through. So this Lotheb is hopefully going to trade for the board. But what a great draw for Numberguy.
I think that might have been the best draw on his deck.
He can use his Thanos and his totem.
Yep.
Kill it
So
off.
now he trades away the spell power that he's already gotten value from, picks up an extra card, gets the investment from his spell power totem, 5 points across to the face, and Hyped is sitting in a position where anything he drops is going to be threatened by this board. Gosh, this is going to be a tough turn. If he doesn't draw Wrath, I think he's going to fall really far behind.
Nope, he gets Ancient of Lore instead.
Ancient of Lore. Gosh, I don't know what you do here. This is one of those spots where it feels really gross, and I think you just have to like put stuff on the board and hope it lives.
So the Spectral Knight comes down then?
That's what it feels like to me. Alternatively, he could play Wailing Soul and just hero power the 3/1. And the purpose of that is going to be, the Unbound Elemental, of course, is going to take it away straight. But you're trying to get to a point where you can get a lot of value out of Swipe from that point. He may just swipe straight away here, too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
If you drop the Wailing Soul,
if
you drop the Wailing Soul, though, it's still gonna have 2 life, and then if it rolls Healing Totem or Defender of Argus, it's gonna put it even more out of range. I feel like it's a little too optimistic to drop Wailing Soul.
It definitely could be.
Other plays.
It definitely could be. But this is the position he's got himself in now. He doesn't have a good play, so he has to figure out which is the least bad of his plays, and also allows him the most recovery.
Least bad.
Yeah, it's not the spot you want to be in when you're playing Hearthstone. You never want to have to make the least bad play. This is also something I was thinking about, but I don't know exactly how good this is. So he uses swipe on the unbound elemental and uses hero power. So he pays a few more points of life. Flame Tongue is on the board still, but it keeps him from taking repetitive damage from that unbound elemental, and also keeps it from getting out of control. Because say like Feral Spirit got drawn, or Feral Spirit was a follow up to this, there's that unbound elemental is never leaving the table after that. So you know, a pretty defensive play, but you know, this is just what you got to do. You have to hope that your opponent doesn't do something that really leverages the board position in their favor. Turn 6 Azure Drake is about the least jam it down thing you can do. Floats a mana, and it's just a 4/4 that draws a card. Looks to me like he wants to play Defender of Argus, though. If he hero powers, I'd be very surprised if he didn't Defender of Argus as well.
I think this is a pretty comfortable play. Your Azure Drake also gives you, like you said, it floats some mana, and that's going to be really important, especially considering that the Azure Drake, as much as it draws you a card and it's a body, this also is really strong.
Yep.
Ooh, Black Knight comes down, though. We forgot about that
really
card.
big break here from Hyped. He also picks up Zombie Chow, so he's got a little bit more stuff that's going on the board, so this may have been exactly what he needs to recover. Doomhammer is a lot of damage right now.
But does he sense a Harrison Jones, which he knows by now Hype's running?
Yeah, we've seen Harrison Jones in Hype's deck already, so I mean that's certainly looming in the back of his mind. You know, this is something I talked about earlier too. These players have seen so many Harrison Jones and Acidic Swampoos and things like that. They're trying to avoid big swing turns from happening. So when he totems, I don't know if it's indicative of anything yet. To me, it looks like if he totems, he's not going to be playing Azure Drake.
He gets a spell-powered totem. Oh my goodness.
Back to those. This is Urshock to finish that. Keeps pressing his advantage. So not a huge amount of damage coming to Hype's face, but he is down to 13, so he does have to be thinking about how his life total is going to be affecting things. So if he plays Ancient Allure, that's a pretty interesting draw. That may come in handy this game, actually. His hand's been so heavy that he may feel okay just like healing for 5 and trying to recover the board state. He does have another Ancient Allure, so it's not like he's losing all of his potential to keep drawing cards.
He's going to draw cards instead.
Yeah, I don't mind drawing cards. I think drawing cards is fine. He actually picks up a Sunfury Protector. And so the debate here is if he wants to use Sunfury Protector now or if he wants to try to taunt up his Spectral Knight as well. So it's like two very different plans. Like right now he can start to stem damage, or he can wait and try to fortify his position even more. I think I'd like to see him wait. I think the risk is worth it. Like you're so far behind at this point that like say you taunted this up and it got either Urshocked or Hexed. You're going to lose pretty much all your ground. Then you have almost no chance of recovery. But in this position, Hex is... Yeah, like Hex comes on here. But now the Manatide Totem's drawn, and it's just more problems that Hype has to worry about.
It's a pretty strong amount of pressure, and of course the looming threat of just being finished with burst from the hand. He knows that this kind of deck exists. Harrison Jones comes in the hand, but once again, I don't know if he'll play a role. Like, will Harrison be able to come out in time to make a game-changing impact, or will Numberguy just draw into the lethal damage?
So this spot, if he deals 2 damage to this totem right here, he really intends to try to fight for the board really heavily. He's going to sacrifice some card advantage to do it and try to make it up later. The Harrison Jones ring really influenced the way he chooses to try to play for card advantage too.
I think it's fine. You have 11 mana, so you can taunt up Spectral Knight and Keeper of the Grove.
Yep.
I don't think people are running Black Knight as often in Shaman. I've seen it a couple times, even in recent memory, but it's still one of those niche scenarios where you have to you don't really play around it whatsoever.
Yep. Wow, really good position from Hype now. Again, a couple of back-to-back draws really able to put him back in this game. So Numberguy is going to pick up a second card from this Manatide Totem, but I don't think he can actually turn this board around this turn.
Not this turn, but he already uses Lightning Storm too.
Yep.
That's too bad.
This is exactly great. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of turn that Hype need too. He creates tension on the board, so that way if he's going into a turn with good initiative, he's really able to take advantage of this. I would be shocked if this unbound hit the board. And so he's going to pick up a second card with Manatide, a second Doomhammer.
Lots of dead draw.
Does Hype draw a second Harrison Jones?
Maybe a news. All right.
Oh, wow. Innervate's really important too. It's going to allow him to play even another minion if he draws one. Wailing Soul not looking so good here because he's already got Spectral on the board. Picks up a Keeper of the Grove too. Oh my gosh, this game is about to get really crazy.
But he needs to not die. There's a Fire Elemental which can push through.
Yep.
Second Spectral Knight on the board, though, is pretty tempting.
So he's still in a similar spot where he may feel like he needs to sacrifice more cards and actually kill the Unbound Elemental instead of killing the Manatide Totem, which I can't say I disagree with. Like I feel like I just want to pull stuff off the board because the Fire Elemental's challenging the Spectral Knight directly. So you can like put Sun Fury into the 2/1, put your Spectral Knight into the 2/4. You leave your opponent with some totems that they can potentially get value from, but if you recover from that turn, then I think you're in great shape.
But at the same time, he doesn't have like combo pieces, and he's already used both Ancients. He's getting pretty far into his deck. I agree, though. I think if he can survive this portion, he is sitting in a good spot.
Oh gosh, that's exactly what he's going to do. Is he going to silence or is he going to play the Spectral Knight? I think I would go with the Spectral Knight here. That's exactly what he's going to do. And so Hyped is sacrificing a lot of cards to this Manatide Totem. There's a Rockbiter. Is that enough for lethal? It definitely is. Numberguy, huge draw off the top of his deck. He's going to take this first game. But wow, really well fought from Hyped. I mean, Numberguy maximizing his damage potential, dropping... The Manatide draw was very, very, very much on time. It allowed him to continue to pick up card after card after card. Just in time.
Strife Pro and RDU, also the same bracket.
Yeah. But, you know, at the same time, those guys are 2 BlizzCon qualifiers. So in terms of, you know, sanction rankings, those guys are considered to be 2 of the top 16 players in the world right now.
Well, strictly in terms of BlizzCon finalists to non-BlizzCon finalists ratio, it's pretty good so far for the tournament. These guys justifying their spots. In the meantime, Hyped, not going to be on coin. Numberguy starts off with lots of burst damage in the hand, as well as consistent damage over time. So we'll see how this pans out. I think he wanted a little bit quicker start. Like Haunted Creeper would have been good to pick up early on. Even Flame Tongue Totems are good to pressure Miracle Rogue. Or even talking about like reverse pressure too, like in implicit ways. Manatide Totem's not that bad against Miracle Rogue either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would be curious if I'm okay with coining out Unbound Elemental here. I guess you don't want to do that because of the backstab SI7 potential.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, which is he draws SI7 agent.
Yep. Yes, sir.
This is something I've seen a lot too. Players choosing to shiv instead of choosing to use the dagger.
Yeah.
That's the second time we've seen that happen.
You like that? Cycling through your deck and keeping the weapon? I mean, you would do the same thing too, just weapon up right after, but...
Sure. I think at this point it's probably worth cycling because he doesn't have Auctioneer. And he does have a Conceal in his hand, so as soon as he picks up Auctioneer, he's got a really strong turn. And speaking of really strong turns, this is exactly what Numberguy was trying to avoid, but, you know, sometimes your hand will not allow you that option. Hype continuing to be very patient with his dagger. This is something that we've seen a lot, too. Holding on to the dagger instead of getting, you know, a couple extra points of damage. So it's a matter of how relevant is that. And I think with this build, getting the consistent damage from the dagger is a little bit less relevant because he's relying on more minion damage to get the job done instead of stuff like Sinister Strike, you know, big Leroy combos and that sort of thing.
A little bit lag on my screen, but I was wondering if Numberguy feel like it's worth coining out a Lightning Bolt on this SI7 agent. If so, it does hold his mana to 4 next turn. But I guess that does give him a couple of options still, even though it's inconvenient for if he picks up Azure Drake or he can use his Doomhammer.
Yep, I'm in the same position. We're getting a little swirly loading screen. This is like playing Hearthstone on PlayStation.
Oh, man.
Loading next draw.
Oh.
And so we fast forward really quick, but we've seen Azure Drake into what looked like Spell Power, Earth Shock, Gnomish Inventor to clear that Azure Drake. Right. And of course, Auctioneer's been picked up, and he's going to backstab this Spell Power Totem. That's going to take away the potential for 1 Lightning Storm to kill it. Conceal's going to come out. Numberguy, I feel here, is going to be forced to use 2 Lightning Storms to take
He's
care
also got
of
Lotheb, though.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to either be using 2 Lightning Storms to take care of this Auctioneer or use a Lotheb. So, pretty rare that you see Shaman have options of how they want to deal with a Concealed Auctioneer. I would venture to say that this is the best one. Hyped. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, to see a swipe right here. I'm sorry, a sap right here. And just draw an extra card, push for 4 more points of damage, and continue to try to make these Lotheb turns happen until he builds a big enough hand that he can kind of, get Violet Teacher on the board, make a bunch of tokens, and go from there. But building next draw.
That wouldn't be too bad. Is there an alternative? I don't think so. He's just got a pair of Farseers and a Violet Teacher.
Well, his alternative, of course, is just to play 2 minions.
Right.
And that's sort of the benefit of a deck like this, is that you can just, when your opponent plays Lotheb, you can just play more minions. So you do sacrifice Auction at position, but again, Numberguy has 2 Lightning Storms in his hand, so if you see Violet Teacher, get ready for some fireworks. That is a really big swing turn. Even though he's going to be overloaded for 4, he's clearing out 3 extremely important minions, denying his opponent draws, getting rid of tokens, potential, etc.
So the better play then is to sap and not to develop these creatures, even though we know otherwise.
Yeah, but given what we know, of course. He's actually just going to attack that and then Earth. Okay, so he's attacking the Lotheb, so that way,
sure.
If Lotheb wants to attack Auctioneer, it's going to end up dying to this. That was the purpose of the dagger attack there. He wants to use his next attack next turn, but again, 2 Lightning Storms. One of these
whether or not it
roll
rolls high.
Yeah, on the Violet Teacher. The first one doesn't. Yeah, the second one though.
Oh man.
Rolls low on both of them, so Lotheb is going to kill this Violet Teacher. And again, that extra dagger damage really mattering right now, because this is going to allow him to just get away with 1 Phantom Knives instead of 2, or maybe even an SI7 agent that he drew. Which I imagine it's going to be his play at this point. And then a pointed dagger is going to the face. So he's going to start using his dagger on face now, because he's going to have plenty of mana to re-dagger if he needs to. And also he's got poison in his hand, so going from there. Overloaded for 4, so only 4 mana available now for Numberguy, and none of these plays are looking too good into this board. So this to me looks like Mana Tide Totem, just to get an extra card.
Right.
Or Lava Burst would be really weird to me. I mean, maybe he just does need to stem damage that bad.
He is at 25 health though, so I still feel like he's got some room to play. But with no more Lightning Storms, these 3/3s are terrorizing whatever comes out. Everything that comes out gets threatened by it.
Yep, so he's going to Feral Spirit instead. If Spell Power gets drawn by Hyped, this could be potentially really bad news. I'm curious if he's gonna use poison on one of these. Picks up Harrison Jones for a potential Doomhammer.
Right. Oh, we got Spell Power.
And then he gets the Blood Mage Thalnos. Wow, another really big draw. Hyped has what looks like all but run away with this game at this point, because Numberguy really lacking the potential to answer this board. Doomhammer is one of his only options to actually put damage on the board. Second Feral Spirit, I think that might have been one of his better draws.
I think so, because Doomhammer, he saw that Hyped is playing Harrison Jones, so that is a possibility. Not to mention that Doomhammer doesn't win you a race at the moment, because you're only doing 4 damage per turn. He's at 30, and you're going to be taking 7, so this is your best way stopping damage. But if Hyped picks a Blade Flurry, that is bad news.
There's so much stuff that can happen here. Here he'll certainly be daggering. Oh my gosh, he can even use Blood Mage to trade for the Unbound Elemental with that Cold Blood he just drew. So there's poison. Earthming Farseer looks like it's going to bite dust. I'm sorry, it's going to take 2 damage, making the Feral Spirit bite the dust.
How much damage is he at?
Oh wow, he's going to Cold Blood and go for face. And that tells me he's going to sap this Unbound Elemental.
Is he wondering if he should just play his hand?
I think he's wondering if he should draw a card with his Blood Mage or not.
Oh, fair enough. He already did use Lightning Storm, so Harrison Jones can't get easily wiped out by Spell Power and a Lightning Storm. Still, Lightning Bolt could, Lava Burst could, and that's about it. Harrison actually is a pretty reasonable threat, too. 5 damage when your opponent's at 11 health. It's pretty strong.
So he's not going to prep Sap. and then play Harrison Jones. I think Harrison Jones actually is not a bad play right here, just to get a 5-power minion on the board. But he has more than enough pressure out, and like you said, there's no lightning storms available. So even something like this Azure Drake can't draw a lightning storm, and suddenly Numberguy is in some pretty significant trouble. I actually think I really would have liked to see Harrison Jones the more I think about it.
Well,
you might be
Numberguy is doing everything he can to just survive. His opponent has 7 damage, just needs a little bit more juice. You can even toss away the Thalnos to potentially draw like an Eviscerate.
There's a Blade Flurry.
How much damage is that? It's 4. It's 8 damage.
8 damage. So I imagine at this point he's going to draw a card. Yeah, if he really wants to draw one now. There's a Deadly Poison too.
Oh, that's
going to be enough damage to finish off Numberguy. Wow. Hype's going to take game 2 and even this series. Very well played. Harrison Jones, and you know, it's been a big threat. It's just been a preventative measure at this point, though. There's been so many Harrison Jones, people just could never actually play weapons.
All right, so Numberguy choosing to go with his Hunter deck, and the idea is if he can save his Miracle from being sniped by the Mirror matchup, then he has his Rogue against Warrior. So
right.
Numberguy still has that competitive edge here in the series, and Hype doesn't have that Druid deck anymore to anchor him against the Hunter deck.
Yeah, again, I still think that this matchup is favored for Rogue at the end of the day. It's always going to be really close, in my opinion. You'll definitely dip low on life, but I think that your plan of attack will kill your opponent before your opponent kills you, because both of you guys are just kind of racing against each other. There's not a lot of direct interaction going on between the minions. Like Rogue has a lot more options to deal with stuff like that than Hunter does. Hunter just it doesn't have like a big refuel options, and it's not making a huge burst push at the end of the game, so it's relying on that repetitive damage, and I think that's why Rogue has the edge.
Well, does he go for more Death Rattle minions to complement the Undertaker? Or is he feeling like Eagle Hornbow's good enough to answer all the impending SI7 agents and Farseers?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mulligan Bow in this matchup, especially if you know your opponent's running 2 copies of each SI7 agent and Earthring Farseer, because you need something to stabilize that position. So Eagle Hornbow is going to function very similar to like Fiery War Axe, where you get it on the board and it buys you enough time to get the repetitive damage again out of the minions you need.
Sure.
SI7 agent straight into the hand.
Ooh. Hype being a little cheeky, pretending like he wanted to backstab.
Wow. Yeah, that was really interesting. Is he trying to telegraph backstab that hard?
Perhaps.
If you had backstab there, wouldn't you just used it though? I feel like it tells your
right?
opponent that you definitely don't have backstab.
Maybe.
But not using backstab also tells your opponent you definitely don't have backstab. All that does is tell your opponent that card targets something.
Sure, but there's just too many to name, right? Shiv, Viscerate,
Sure.
Cold Blood.
Even still, I don't feel like you would. You know, the more I think about it, the more it actually tells you that it is Cold Blood, because if you can't cast a spell, it won't let you drag it to something.
You can just cast Shiv or Viscerate. Or,
Well, he didn't have the mana for it, so he won't let him
Sap.
drag it out of his hand.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I think it just gives away that it's Cold Blood. His opponent really digs deep enough.
Well, I guess it gets their opponent thinking. Maybe that's what he wants. And he's going to go for half his hand dump to clear the board.
This guy's toast.
I actually like this play.
Don't mind this.
I like this play a lot. It's really aggressive, and you do burn your sap, but you do burn your preparation, but preparation's not like the most important card in this matchup. You just kind of need to get stuff rolling. So the fact that he's drawn a charge from Eagle Hornbow, this gives him a little bit more information. It stunts his opponent's development. It buys him like the 1 turn he needs to get Violet Teacher on the board and not fall too far behind. I would really like to see him just dagger up here too. I don't want to see him burn Fan of Knives. I think Fan of Knives is pretty important to winning certain kinds of races in this matchup.
He's also testing for the trap if he goes for the dagger up, right? Just to see if it's explosive
yeah,
trap.
that
on the
too.
off chance.
He can also test to see if it's explosive trap or not, which we know the Numberguy is running a copy of.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
he
not
chooses
testing
not
it
to test
now.
the trap too.
Well, testing it
can
now
just
versus
test
testing it later is the same thing.
Yeah. That's an interesting point to note too. Like, say he tests for explosive trap right now, he does just give his opponent 3 more damage straight away.
Yep.
So now he's going to be faced with whether or not he wants to Violet Teacher or Fan of Knives. Or maybe even Shiv and use his dagger.
Shiv dagger is more mana efficient. But he goes for Violet Teacher because it is another way to potentially remove creatures. He needs to get board presence.
This is another thing, too, is actually if he had given his opponent a bow charge, he wouldn't be losing the bow to this. Hunter's Mark straight off the top, though. That's a pretty important one. And if Numberguy had drawn, like, say, like Stranglethorn Tiger or something like that off this web spinner, this game would be very quickly spiraling out of control. As it stands, he does have a chance to recover this, but Savannah Highmane is going to be putting a lot of pressure on his board.
Yeah, he needs to pick up Auctioneer very soon in order to have a fighting chance to be able to handle this Savannah Highmane. Because if you draw it to saps, you start doing damage, you start drawing cards, and then Hunter is just going to be drawing one card per turn. This is your opportunity as a Miracle Rogue to make a comeback, but you need the Auctioneer.
I'm curious how he's going to choose to try to play around this trap this game. So, if he finds out that this is
Snake Trap,
he's in really good shape. So I'm guessing he's just not going to attack if he does this.
Yeah, force your opponent to choose whether or not he wants to use the bow or let the Farseer live.
Yep. I'd be stunned if Kill Command got used this turn. I think it's just going to be Savannah Highmane.
That'd be an amazing Farseer. He gains you, what, upwards up to 8 health. That's a healing touch.
Yeah. This is a really tough turn, I think, for Numberguy. Like, it looks really easy to just jam Savannah Highmane down here, but, you know, he is thinking about the potential of this Highmane is going to die. Which somehow it is, and again, this is just going to be another spot where Snake Trap shows that how much of a liability it can be at certain times. Even picks up Blade Flurry. All right, so the question here is, does he want to pay 6 life, or does he want to lose his Earthen Ring Farseer straight away, I think.
But does he know it's Snake Trap and not freezing?
No, he doesn't know that. That's another issue. So he's trying to figure out the best way to play around this. I think it's very often to pay 6 life, honestly.
So you attack first. You attack the Loot Hoarder first to see if it's Snake Trap with your weapon, but that's inefficient.
I don't know. I think he wants to know if it's Freezing Trap or not. I think that's what he's really afraid of. He's going to get some good news. It's Snake Trap instead. So I think that's a pretty big sigh of relief for him.
But it is a hefty price to pay.
Yep. He would much rather have used his Cold Blood, but again, he was so afraid of
Freezing Trap.
He was so afraid of Freezing Trap that I don't think he could afford to do so.
So he's got to pay the life?
Yep, no option. And then Blade Flare is going to be coming out. So this board's going to get swept. Numberguy's going to go up to 4 cards, but not a ton of action. But not a lot of life for Hyped either. This damage is going to add up really quickly.
Yep, not to mention he's just got another charge on the bow.
Yep. Ooh, and there's a Houndmaster.
Wow.
He may forego a hero power this turn.
Yeah, I don't see why not. You just play the 3 minions in your hand. It is still slightly vulnerable to other stuff, but he just used a Blade Flare with Deadly Poison.
Yep. I think that's the major thing, is that he just used... Oh, is he just going to play Undertaker and pass? Maybe he's going to play this Houndmaster just by itself.
You still have Kill Command next turn with Ironbeak Owl and Hero Power, so that's 7. And then you have the bow, so you actually have 10 damage already. So just play your creatures and hopefully you can't do anything.
Okay, I thought Hype was at 15 for some reason.
Well, he was.
No, I meant
was
like
the
after
beginning
the
of the turn.
I meant after the attack. I thought he was at 15 for some reason.
Ooh, that is 1 turn too late. I don't think there's any way for Hype to pull himself out because there's 10 damage already existing just from the combination of the weapon plus the Kill Command.
Yeah, I don't see it either. He's gonna go for it, but there's no way out of it at this point.
So if we just rewind, the only way for Hype to have a visible chance of comeback was through cold blooding and not taking the damage. But even then, he started drawing cards. You see that he had SI7 and Azure Drake, and the Rogue was not able to do much. Hyped is down to his last deck, and that is a Warrior.
go from there. So Numberguy is going to swap over to Hunter. And, you know, sticking to that consistent theme of you want your potential last game to be one that you think is favorable.
Oh, there's the axe.
There's Hogger as well. I don't think he's going to keep Hogger, though.
Nah.
Come on, keep the Hogger.
Oh.
We all want to see it.
Maybe.
Oh.
I mean, it is good, but it's still so far away. Like, how can you guarantee that you'll get value off it? Plus, getting other things like the armor smith might be more important.
Yeah, he picks up Sludge Belcher too, and we actually saw, was it Lothar that we saw keep Sludge Belcher in his opening hand? Someone kept Sludge Belcher in the opening hand.
I don't think Lothar was playing Warrior this tournament. Oh, look at that.
Was it? Oh, there's Hogger. Welcome back.
Yep.
Fiery Wind Axe. This is going to be already a tough one for Numberguy. He does have 2 Animal Companions, which I think are 2 of the better cards in this matchup in his deck, but no 2-drop. He picks up a Web Spinner. Definitely going to try to get the second charge of that bow out here. I don't know if it's going to... I'm sorry, of the axe. I don't know if it's going to work. But yeah, we saw someone keep Sludge Belcher in their opening hand versus Warrior. Wow, he draws a cool Taskmaster. That's a really important draw right now because now he has a threat on an Animal Companion. And there's Savannah Highmane. This game is going to get really crazy.
He's got Highmane, but before that, Sludge Belcher will come down. And then you got Hogger. And Highmane has to go through the null every single turn.
I actually think I'd like to see him shield block straight away here. I think he needs to dig into his deck. Picks up a second Sludge Belcher. This looks like Druid Warrior almost. Just like a bunch of big, strong minions.
Yeah,
what is it?
For real. Okay.
Misha, definitely one of his better ones.
The pipe draws removal of some kind. Shield slam.
Oh, that's a really painful one. I don't think this is going to be happening. Seems like a lot of life to pay to kill a Misha.
Oh, man. Well, you're going to armor up. It's all about whether or not you feel like you can use this axe to take out the Misha, but that's asking for a lot.
Yep. That's a multi-turn investment. And also 12 points of damage. But is Misha going to deal more than 12 points of damage if you leave it there?
I mean, you're playing Sludge Belcher. If you play Sludge Belcher and he pushes through the first body, you still have the 1/2 Sludge to kill off. To kill off the body. So I think attacking here actually isn't that bad of an option.
He's thinking about that same thing too. He's like, is this Misha going to deal more than 12 points of damage if I just leave it here? And I think the answer is yes. So. Yeah, he's got a little bit of extra armor value, and his hand is so strong that if he can just weather a storm and not allow him to just not get overwhelmed, I think he's in a really good position to actually win this game.
Okay, Numberguy, what you gonna get with Animal Companion number 2?
Gets a second
number
Misha.
2. That is troll-tastic.
That Direwolf Alpha is gonna threaten these Sludge Belchers straight away.
Oh man.
This is gonna be rough. What does he need to draw to help him get out of this situation? Sylvanas, I don't think is it. Is Sarah really clogging up his hand right now? And his plan's consistent. He's got to kill that Misha. So
That
again, he's gonna
means
take some heavy
13
damage. And Savannah Highmane, gosh, it's so liable to seal the game here. I think there's a good chance that with that Undertaker draw, though, the Numberguy elects to go with a different play. But at the same time, he may fear committing too much to the board because of a card like Brawl.
Right. Either way, like if your opponent brawls with Highmane or other cards, it's gonna have a pretty strong impact. So I don't think there's a way to play around Brawl now.
Yeah. Well, the Highmane would be the way to play around Brawl. Like that's the one you want, and it just to me it looks like he's thinking about whether or not he wants to use Undertaker in order to Mad Scientist. I like keeping Highmane here.
So strong though.
Wow. He's going to forego Highmane this turn.
Whoa,
I don't know if I agree with that, but I think this might have been exactly what Hype needed to get back in this game.
Well, it depends on what he's drawing. His hand's still not looking that stellar. Oh, he gets the Brawl. Whoa.
I don't think he can do anything but Brawl this turn.
Right.
Wow.
And I guess Either the dog or the mad scientist survive. The best case scenario.
You know what else is going to happen? Is this mad scientist may fetch a snake trap here. It gets
It's
explosive instead. Everything may be falling into place for Hype to recover this game.
But explosive shuts down Hogger. You laugh, but that actually might come into play here.
It definitely might. I think a lot of these null tokens are going to be attacking minions instead, but until he gets control of the game. But
Hype has to kill his Undertaker, right? He's just really wondering about Snake Trap.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking about for sure, is Snake Trap. And I think he kind of sees the same thing that we do, is if he doesn't kill it, what is he going to do?
Oof.
So there's High Mob, and there's Leper Gnome.
Good news is he can still stall for a little bit of time. He's got Sludge Belcher. Got Sludge Belchers and ways to stall for a couple more turns, but he's looking at so much damage if his opponent has Iron Beak Owl. In fact,
yeah. 13
yeah, if he has Owl Kill Command, you're dead.
Yeah.
But you can't really worry about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get around that one. Oh, he's looking at Augur. I think Sludge Belcher is a little bit better here. Try to get the board stabilized. Like, maybe your opponent doesn't have another strong minion. They just have utility spells in their hand.
Yes.
And so Augur can actually stabilize the board. The other thing that's important is he kind of needs to draw like a utility spell. Hunter's Mark picked up. I don't know if that really changes anything. It's just Law of Highmane is going to come into effect. We'll see how much that changes things. Loot Hoarder's going to threaten the Augur token too. That's a lot of damage. Hype's down to just 10, and a hand stuffed full of big legendaries.
It's a very expensive hand. Wow.
Gosh, I don't know what you can draw really that's very good here. I mean, I guess like Cruel Taskmaster would be a really great draw, I think. Big Game Hunter's a really bad one, though.
Nope.
All right, well, I think he's got to play Augur. I think he's just got to play it. And honestly, I think he's got to hope that the Highmane attacks into the Augur.
I mean, it might. But
yeah, definitely
Numberguy is just on so many outs to just end the game. Why are we zooming in on the Augur?
Why not?
There's that's game.
And that's going to be enough damage to finish off Hype. Numberguy going to advance 3 games to 1. In our top 3 players, we have Forsen, someone who is often thought of by a lot of players to not be a tournament-winning kind of guy. But he's